continuing on with our separating washes, we're going to work on this little painting here. We've got 3 cherries painted on here. They're just barely started. What we're going to do now is separate them in the picture plane so that this one comes forward and that these go back. Okay, so I'm going to take some cherry red. What I want to do is do a wash right here along the edge because I want to separate it from the other one. Now I don't want to change the whole color. I don't want to paint the whole cherry darker just to push it back. So I just want to do a wash along the edge, which is all you really need to do. So I'm just going to kind of soften it in a little bit. And you can already see that starting to push back. And I'm going to do it again along on this other edge. You want to make sure that when you're done with your painting, and if you erase the lines, that the painting can stand by itself without the drawing. That you haven't missed any places where you had a line and you've made a value change at every place that you had a line drawn on your drawing. If you've missed a few, that's a few places you've missed an opportunity to create greater depth. I'm just going to soften this edge in. Do a little bit more over here. And you can already see it's starting to push these back away from the other cherries. Another thing to remember is that the wider the line that you make on your little separating wash, the farther back it's going to look like it is. The closer it is, it's going to look a little closer to the other object. Just have to remember that you're manipulating the picture plane. So a darker, wider wash is going to push it back farther to a farther back plane. And you'll notice too that as I'm painting, I put some paint on my palette. I rinse my brush to get extra paint out so I don't have too much. And I usually roll it back towards me so that I always have a nice point. And I'm also pushing down on the ferrule to get out some extra water so that I don't have a back run where I don't want it. And that's when I go back and pick up the paint that I added water to. So I'm going to go and add a little bit more to here. So I want this one to look like it's quite a bit further back. And you can see how it's already dried. Much lighter than it looked when I first put it on. But you can always darken it. It's lightening up that's a little bit hard to do. So better to start light and have to do another wash than to have to try and lift the color off. So I'm going to soften it right here. I want to leave a little yellow highlight right there. Okay, so it's already starting to have a little bit of depth. Now right here on the stems, that's where it's going to need to have some more separation there too, so that one stem looks in front of the other. So I'm going to get some sap green here. And to darken it up, I'm going to add just a little bit of burnt sienna. Okay, so what I want to do is darken along the line of the stem that's in the back. And I don't want to darken the whole stem, just like when we did the ribbons, so I'm just sort of going to blend that in a little bit with some plain water. And I'm going to do this on the other side as well. And we'll see how that looks when it dries. It may need yet another bit of darkening as it dries. But already now that one is now going behind the first one. Now if I want to give these cherries some more form, I'm going to take some alizarin, which is going to be quite a bit darker. And I'm going to put this in here, which is really going to make this go back. I'm just going to kind of soften that in a little bit. And this section back here is quite a bit farther behind this other cherry too. So I'm going to darken this up quite a bit back here. They're just going to soften, just keep softening these edges as I go. And I'm going to use some of this alizarin to darken up this little back end here of the cherry, which will give a little more depth to it too. And I'm going to leave a little bit of a yellow highlight in there. And I'm going to do the same thing on this other one back here. You can see I'm starting to have some lines form. Normally I would go back in there and get those right away before they dry. That takes a whole lot of time, so we're just going to leave them there and pretend they're not there. Just so we get the basic idea of using these separating washes. And it's surprising how many places in your painting you'll find that you can do that and really add some more dimension. Now right here I have the stem of this cherry in front of this back cherry. So I'm going to do a little wash right along the edge of it. Just enough to make a value change there, because right now there's a change in color, but there's really no value change. And there needs to be a value change. So what you want to use is the base color of the object behind it. So you don't want to just pick any old color to use, because you want it to recede in the picture plane. You don't want it to stand out. You don't want it to be really noticeable. It needs to be there, but you don't want to, it doesn't need to shout at you that it's there. Okay. Now I'm going to take some cherry red and some of the alizarin, and I'm just going to go through here and just give this one a little bit of dimension, because it's quite dark along the bottom. Now I don't want to come up here because I want this value change here. So I'm just going to take it right up to that area right there. And I'm going to do the same thing on the other side. I don't want it to go past there, because then I'm losing my value change. See right there, I accidentally touched the wet part and it's bleeding back in. So you don't want it to do that. So if you take a paper towel and you just push down, you don't want to rub it or scrub it. You're just going to push down right along that edge, and you're going to stop it from continuing to bleed. And then you can let it dry and go on.